and welcome. I'm Natalia Jastrzębska. You're watching Pulse of Culture, and this episode will be truly royal. From Warsaw to Kraków, you can now admire the treasures of Polish history completely free of charge as part of the Free November at Royal Residences initiative. If you can't make it in person, don't worry. Tonight we're taking you on a tour of one of Poland's most iconic landmarks, the Royal Castle in Warsaw. For centuries, it's been the seat of kings, a witness to coronations, wars and rebirth. Maciej Jastrzębski gives us a brief history of this magnificent place.
Behold, the Royal Castle of Warsaw and its square, surrounded by townhouses, churches and walls, collectively referred to as the Old Town. So, how old is the Royal Castle of Warsaw, do you think?
I don't know. No ideas.
I have no idea.
Well, it's only 41 years old. But let's unpack it for you. As much as 80% of Warsaw was destroyed at the order of Adolf Hitler in retaliation for the Warsaw Uprising. The man who stood behind the Herculean logistical task of the Old Town's reconstruction was architect Jan Zachwatowicz. You can find a statue of him poised on the edge of the castle square, watching ever-growing numbers of visitors file by. The reconstruction began in 1945 and was continued under communist leader Bolesław Bierut, who had a vested political interest in the move.
Rebuilding Warsaw was actually the great move to rebuild the capital of Poland and to make Bierut the most powerful person in the country, because people accepted Bierut because he accepted the rebuilding of Warsaw.
Although put back together, the castle square was, for a long time, little more than a bustling bus and taxi stop.
Wow.
Wow.
Another communist leader, Edward Gierek, sought to win public support by launching the reconstruction of the Royal Castle and not spending a broken cent on it.
Money for Royal Castle reconstruction came from the people donation. So people came into Plac Zamkowy, so Zamkowy Square we can say. There was a big box and a lot of people put the money into it.
The reconstruction of the main castle building concluded in 1984. But it was only in 2019 that the last part of the castle gardens were open to the public.
To zostało docenione przez...
It found the approval of the UN World Heritage Committee, which put the Old Town on its list, not because of its age, but because the residents of Warsaw wanted to rebuild their city.
But back to the square. In its center, you can see a column with a statue of Polish King Sigismund, the man who moved the capital of Poland from Kraków to Warsaw. But what on earth is he doing up there?
He's making sure that no one sells his pedestal, because in the past, con artists have attempted to pull a Brooklyn Bridge-type scam.
The fraudster in question was Alfons Kazimierz Cynian, who tried to sell it to a provincial visitor who had been looking for a wedding gift for his daughter. His price? 100 złoty plus 5 for shipping. Encouraged, we tried our luck and asked a tourist for their price.
Oh my god, 400?
A tempting offer, but no deal. Perhaps we were barking up the wrong tree. Speaking of which, the square's single oak tree was once an old silver poplar.
Po 2000 roku
The poplar was in a deplorable state by the year 2000. The decision was made to remove the tree, which created an opportunity for archaeological excavations. Surprisingly, scientists discovered traces of human activity going back 6,000 years, testifying to the first human being who set foot in what would become Warsaw.
You too can and should set foot in the castle square to discover its many secrets. After all, we've just barely scratched the surface.
The Royal Castle is indeed an impressive building, but behind those stately walls lie secrets few have ever heard. Hidden passages, royal intrigues and stories of survival that mirror the fate of the nation itself. Karolina Sztolcman brings some of them to light.
Now, the building that you see behind me is Warsaw's Royal Castle. But what may not be obvious the first time you look at this tourist hotspot is that this is actually a reconstruction, as the original Royal Castle was destroyed during the Second World War by the Nazi Germany forces. But this is just one of the many fascinating and interesting things about this castle. So let's take a tour. And we begin this tour in the biggest room of Warsaw's Royal Castle, the Great Assembly Hall, also known as the Ballroom. Now, this room served representative and social functions, especially during the castle's heyday, and that is when the last king of Poland, Stanisław August Poniatowski, reigned here. Now, this room is of course very ornate and very decorated, as you can see, but it also was meant to send a certain message from the king to his visitors. And if you'd like to know what that message is, it's simply enough to look up, because on the ceiling of this room you will see the biggest painting in the entire castle, and the painting depicts the Greek god Zeus providing law and order in his land. And that is exactly the message that Stanisław August Poniatowski wanted to send to his visitors as well, that this is what he will do for the Polish and Lithuanian Commonwealth, to provide order and peace. Now, our next stop is the king's favorite room. This is the Knight's Hall. The reason for this room being Stanisław August Poniatowski's favorite is because it was designed according to his idea. Now, he wanted this room to provide space to display some of the most important historical figures for Polish history. That's why on the paintings and sculptures here you will see a lot of familiar faces, including Nicholas Copernicus. Another interesting fact about these paintings and the sculptures is that they are actually original. They survived the Second World War and were brought back here for the reconstruction of the castle. We are now in one of the most interesting rooms in the entire castle, the Marble Room. This, interior-wise, is the oldest room in the entire grand apartment. Just take a look at these beautiful marble floors and the extremely detailed decorations on the walls. What's also worth noting are, of course, the 22 portraits of Polish kings displayed here. Now, the final stop of our tour is the throne room. This is the exact throne that the last king of Poland, Stanisław August Poniatowski, used. But what is probably the most movie-like story about this room is actually located behind the throne itself, and those are the silver-threaded eagles. They were thought to be completely gone, destroyed or stolen by the Nazi soldiers. However, in 1991, someone brought back in a single remaining silver-threaded eagle, and this was used as a model to reconstruct all of the other eagles that you can see behind the throne right now. Well, that concludes our royal tour, but next time you're in town, be sure to stop by at Warsaw's Royal Castle and discover all of its secrets and interesting facts yourself. For TVP World, Karolina Sztolcman.
Who says that the royal castle can't keep up with modern trends? It was just transformed into a fashion stage filled with splendor, history, and emotion. The exhibition, Let Them See Us, Image, Dress, Body, reveals how, through the centuries, clothing has shaped our dreams of freedom, power, and being seen. Natalia Komarow has the story.
Since the dawn of history, those in power communicated their social standing by dressing up. Let Them See Us, a newly opened exhibition at the Royal Castle in Warsaw, explores the age-old relationship between style and status. Monika Przypkowska, the curator, gathered nearly 250 exhibits from across Poland and Europe. Here, 16th century armors meet contemporary artworks and haute couture pieces by Balenciaga, Schiaparelli and Alexander McQueen.
I was inspired by my work as a curator and educator, by my interactions with visitors. They are always curious and ask what the portraits from the 16th, 17th and 18th centuries convey. I thought it was such an inspiring tale that it was worth turning into an exhibition.
The exhibition opens with the ultimate status symbol. the coronation robe of Stanisław August Poniatowski, the last monarch of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Viewing clothes and accessories as symbols we use to communicate with society allowed the curator to find the threads connecting the past to the present.
The world operates with symbolic violence, which Pierre Bourdieu described in the 20th century. He taught us to look critically at the fact that political and economic elites keep outrunning the rest. They use visual cues to mark the distance between themselves and everyone else.
Is dress a way to impress or express? Or is it social pressure? What do we communicate to others with our everyday choices of styles, colors, and brands? The exhibition poses questions and allows visitors to explore the answers. It will remain open at the Royal Castle until February 8, 2026. For TVP World, Natalia Komarow.
And now it's time for Culture Beats. Early November in Poland is traditionally a time to remember the departed, both loved ones and those honored in the nation's collective memory. At the center of these commemorations is Warsaw's Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, marking its 100th anniversary this year. Karolina Shapland reports.
Exactly 100 years ago, on November the 2nd, 1925, the body of a first unknown soldier was laid to rest here. It started a new national tradition, honoring those who died defending Poland's independence. The remains interred here were selected from among unknown soldiers exhumed near Lviv, representing those who fought to secure Poland's borders in the turbulent years following the restoration of independence after the First World War. At its center burns an eternal flame, surrounded by 22 plaques commemorating battles in which Polish forces have fought. Since 1925, the daily changing of the guard has been a central part of commemorations here, today held with a special ceremony to mark the centenary. School children across the country are also placing white and red paper hearts at sites of remembrance as a part of the Flame of Remembrance initiative. Although the centenary of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier falls on November the 2nd, the official commemoration will begin the day after. They will start with unveiling of the plaque for Jadwiga Zarugiewiczowa, mother of one of the Lviv defenders of 1918, also known and regarded as the symbolic mother of all of the soldiers who are laid here. For TVP World, I'm Karolina Shapland.
November is also the time of Zaduszki, and the most famous of them all, the Kraków Jazz Zaduszki, has just celebrated its 70th anniversary. It's the oldest jazz festival in Europe, and thanks to it, the genre has become a permanent part of the cultural life of the capital of Lesser Poland. This year's edition shines a special spotlight on women in jazz. Meanwhile, in Wrocław, the American Film Festival takes a close look at everyday life in today's United States. Homes, relationships, and the simple need to be together. This marks the 16th edition of the festival. Moving to the American suburbs, invite the organizers of the Tauron American Film Festival. It's not about the Hollywood red carpet, but rather more than 130 independent and daring films. And with this, we conclude this episode of Pulse of Culture. Thank you for watching, and please stay tuned for more.